A married couple has just arrived in Germany. During immigration, the husband, Dr. Harris, explains that they are not there for vacation. He has been invited to speak at a major biotechnology conference. After leaving the airport, the couple takes a taxi straight to the hotel where the event is being held. The weather is terrible, with heavy snow falling across the city. In the middle of the chaos, the taxi driver helping with their luggage accidentally leaves behind Harris's briefcase. As soon as they arrive at the hotel, Harris realizes the bag is missing. He immediately panics because all of his personal documents are inside, including his passport. Without wasting any time, he rushes back to the airport in another taxi. In his panic, he does not even tell his wife where he is going. Things quickly get worse when his phone suddenly loses signal, leaving his wife with no idea where he disappeared to. And Harris's terrible luck is only beginning. Before reaching the airport, the taxi he is riding in crashes violently. The driver reacts instantly. She smashes the window and climbs out of the wrecked car. But Harris suffers a serious blow to the head and loses consciousness. Even so, the taxi driver, a woman named Gina, forces herself back into the destroyed vehicle and drags Harris out to safety. Somehow, she manages to save his life on her own. But Harris remains completely unconscious. 4 days later, Harris finally wakes up in a hospital. The doctor explains that he has been in a coma the entire time. Because of the severe head injury, his memory may have been affected. And it quickly becomes clear that the warning is true, because Harris cannot remember anything about the accident itself. Thankfully, not all of his memories are gone. He still remembers his wife, Liz, but he cannot understand why she has never come to visit him. Soon after, hospital staff return some belongings recovered from the crash site, including his notebook and a watch given to him by Liz. But even though he remembers his wife, Harris still cannot remember why he came to Germany in the first place. No matter how hard he tries, the answer refuses to come back to him. Then one day he notices a television broadcast covering a biotechnology conference being held at the same hotel where he and Liz were staying. And little by little, Harris finally begins to piece together what is happening. Without wasting any time, Harris gets out of the hospital and heads straight back to the hotel to find his wife. The moment he reaches the lobby, he finally spots Liz from a distance. But before he can approach her, security stops him. The hotel is hosting a major biotechnology conference attended by important guests, including the Prince of Dubai. So everyone entering the event must go through strict security checks. The problem is, Harris has no identification and no invitation because all of his documents were left inside the missing briefcase. The situation quickly catches the attention of the hotel manager. Wanting to verify Harris's claims, the manager personally asks Liz whether this man is really her husband. But her response completely shocks him. Liz calmly says that her husband is already standing beside her, and the man she points to is another Dr. Harris. In an instant, Harris feels like his entire world collapses. As far as he knows, he is the real Dr. Harris, while the man standing next to Liz is an imposter. Just like that, he loses not only his identity, but seemingly his wife as well. This is unknown. Certain that something is terribly wrong, Harris desperately tries to prove who he is. He checks the hotel's security footage from the day they arrived, but strangely, the footage only shows Liz entering the hotel alone. Harris does not appear anywhere in the recording. Still refusing to give up, he tries proving his identity by mentioning the university where he teaches. But after staff look into it, the photo connected to his name belongs to the other Harris instead. Things only get worse because Harris cannot even remember a single phone number back in America. At this point, his damaged memory is becoming a serious problem. Afraid of being treated like a dangerous troublemaker, Harris finally admits that his memory has been affected by the accident. But one question keeps haunting him. How could someone steal not only his identity, but even his wife? Is his memory truly broken, or is he trapped inside some kind of elaborate conspiracy? Even so, the small amount of cash left in his pocket helps him survive for the moment. But while wandering through the city, Harris begins to feel like someone is watching him. At first, he thinks it is only paranoia, but soon it becomes clear that he really is being followed. A mysterious man suddenly starts chasing him, and Harris barely manages to escape by jumping onto a train just before the doors close. Around the same time, another name suddenly comes back to him, Dr. Bressler. Before all this chaos happened, Harris remembers arranging a meeting with the famous scientist. Even though they had never met face-to-face, they had spoken many times over the phone. Harris becomes convinced that Liz is being controlled by dangerous people and forced to deny his identity. He believes Dr. Bressler might be the only person capable of helping him uncover the truth. But when Harris finally arrives to meet the scientist, he is stunned to discover that the fake Harris and Liz are already there. Desperate to prove himself, Harris brings up private details from past conversations that only he and Bressler should know. But somehow, the mysterious imposter knows every detail too, including the exact words from those conversations. Even Dr. Bressler becomes confused. For a moment, he no longer knows which man is the real Harris and which one is the fake. But once again, Harris loses because he still has no documents to prove his identity. And to make matters even worse, the other man even has honeymoon photos with Liz in Paris. At this point, Harris feels completely broken, like his entire world has collapsed around him. The shock becomes too much to handle, and he eventually passes out. Now, it is not only other people questioning his sanity. Harris himself is starting to wonder if he has lost his mind. While receiving treatment, a nurse quietly tells him about a private detective who might be able to help uncover the truth behind everything happening to him. Because of Harris's head injury, the doctor recommends further medical examinations. But right after the tests are finished, the mysterious man who had been following him suddenly appears again, this time clearly intending to kill him. Luckily, the nurse arrives at the perfect moment, forcing the man to back off. But sadly, the nurse ends up paying with her life. At that moment, Harris finally realizes the truth. The man hunting him is not just some random stalker. He is part of a professional group of assassins. Fearing for his own life, Harris secretly takes a pair of scissors from the nurse's pocket. While the killer is distracted cleaning up the scene, Harris seizes the opportunity and escapes. Unfortunately, the assassin notices him running away. Harris tries desperately to flee, but the sedatives still in his body make it difficult for him to move properly. Worse yet, he has no idea where to go. Then, by pure luck, chaos suddenly erupts inside the hospital after dozens of burn victims are rushed in at once. Using the confusion to his advantage, Harris manages to escape the assassin's pursuit. At the same time, he remembers the nurse's final advice about meeting the private detective who could help him. That detective turns out to be a man named Horgan. At first glance, he looks nothing like a detective at all, just an ordinary old man. But appearances can be deceiving, because Horgan once worked in intelligence during World War II. Before long, Harris tells him everything, from the accident in stolen identity to the attempted murder that nearly cost him his life. But after hearing the entire story, Horgan starts noticing strange inconsistencies, and surprisingly, his suspicions begin pointing toward Liz. Harris refuses to believe it. In his mind, Liz could never be involved in something like this. Besides, too many things still do not make sense. If this really is some kind of setup, how could they arrange the accident so perfectly? And why would anyone want to steal his identity in the first place? The questions are difficult to answer. Strangely enough, Horgan does not demand a large payment for his help. He only asks for whatever Harris can afford, almost as if he is more interested in the mystery itself than the money. Before they part ways, Horgan gives Harris one important lead. If he truly wants answers, he needs to find the taxi driver who saved his life after the crash. According to Horgan, that woman might be the key to uncovering everything. It does not take long for Harris to track down Gina through the taxi company she used to work for. But he soon learns that Gina is actually an illegal immigrant, and after the accident, she was fired from her job. At first, Gina refuses to say much, but eventually Harris convinces her to help after giving her his expensive watch as payment. At the same time, Horgan contacts one of his connections at the airport to investigate further. Before long, he uncovers an important clue. According to his research, the biotechnology conference Harris was supposed to attend is being funded by a prince of Dubai who recently survived an assassination attempt. Meanwhile, Harris and Gina slowly begin to trust each other. Gina even allows him to stay at her apartment for the night. Later, while they are casually talking, one of Gina's acquaintances stops by to return some car keys before leaving again. Everything seems calm for the moment, but while Harris is taking a shower, the assassins hunting him finally discover his location. Realizing he is in danger, Harris escapes through the bathroom window and hides himself along the rooftop. Inside the apartment, the killers prepare to poison Gina so she will no longer interfere with their mission. Before they can carry out the plan, Harris rushes back inside and saves her. Even after everything that has happened, Gina cannot bring herself to abandon Harris. She goes back upstairs, grabs the poison left behind on the floor, and injects it into one of the assassins. Seeing an opportunity to escape, the two of them immediately flee using a car. But moments later, more assassins begin chasing them down, determined to eliminate both of them. Their escape almost ends in disaster when their car crashes into a road barrier.
Get off the tracks!
but somehow they still manage to survive and get away from the attackers. To stay hidden, Harris and Gina take shelter in a dark, abandoned place. There, Gina finally breaks down. She is terrified and furious because she has now been dragged into Harris's dangerous situation. Not long after, Harris notices a strange coded message written on the final page of his notebook. The writing was left there by Liz herself, but Harris has no idea what it means. No matter how hard he thinks about it, he still cannot figure out the code. The next day, Harris meets with Horgan again and shows him the coded message hidden inside the notebook. After carefully analyzing it, Horgan discovers that the numbers correspond to pages, lines, and specific words from a book. When combined together, they form the Latin names of two different plants. But the real question is why Liz wrote the code in the first place. Horgan calmly suggests that it may be connected to Dr. Bressler's research, and if that is true, then this situation is much bigger than stolen identities. Someone may be using Harris because of his connection to the scientists involved and the powerful people funding the research. Still unsure about Horgan's theory, Harris decides to confront Liz directly. He knows that Dr. Bressler and the fake Harris are attending a meeting that morning, and he also knows where Liz will be. Gina warns him to be careful because Liz is almost certainly being watched by the same people hunting him. Soon after, Harris and Gina stake out an art exhibition where Liz is expected to appear. Not long later, Liz arrives and enters the building, with Harris quietly following behind her. But the plan immediately becomes dangerous when Harris spots one of the assassins who had been chasing him earlier. Somehow, he manages to avoid detection long enough to finally meet Liz face to face. This time, Liz reveals something shocking. She warns Harris that both of their lives are in danger, and if he truly wants answers, he must recover the briefcase he left behind at the airport. Elsewhere, Horgan finally uncovers undeniable proof. Airport security footage clearly shows that Harris really did arrive in Germany together with Liz. Not long after that, one of Harris's old friends, Dr. Cole, contacts Horgan and offers to help confirm Harris's identity. He asks to meet the detective in person, but the moment Horgan hears from him, something feels terribly wrong. His face suddenly turns pale, almost as if he realizes a disaster is about to happen. Eventually, the two men meet. At first, everything seems perfectly normal. Horgan even serves coffee while they talk. During the conversation, Horgan speaks about his years working in intelligence during the war. Back then, he often dealt with assassin organizations, secretly working for governments and criminal groups. And according to him, one of the most dangerous organizations of all was a group called Section 15. Recently, Horgan heard rumors that Section 15 still exists, but Dr. Cole dismisses the idea as nothing more than an old conspiracy theory. Then suddenly, Cole asks Horgan why he never tried to run after their earlier phone conversation, since he still had enough time to escape. Moments later, Horgan collapses to the floor. It turns out he poisoned his own coffee with cyanide. At that moment, the truth finally comes out. Dr. Cole never came to help him. Horgan had already realized that Cole was a member of Section 15 and had come there to kill him. Knowing there was no way to escape, Horgan chose to take control of his own fate before things became even more brutal. Meanwhile, Harris finally manages to recover his briefcase at the airport. Since all lost items are stored by airport security, the bag had been kept safe the entire time. At first, the staff refused to hand it over because Harris has no identification to prove it belongs to him. But then he remembers the lock combination for the briefcase. Once he enters the correct code, the staff finally return it along with all of his personal documents. As a thank you for helping him, Harris gives Gina some money. Now that everything seems finished, Gina decides it is finally time to move on with her life and leave. But only minutes after she walks away, Dr. Cole suddenly appears. Since Harris has known him for 15 years, he does not suspect anything suspicious. So when Cole invites him to go somewhere together, Harris agrees without hesitation. Then suddenly, Harris is electrocuted and kidnapped. Luckily, Gina happens to witness everything. Without thinking twice, she immediately starts chasing after them. Not long later, Harris wakes up inside a parking structure. And there, Cole finally reveals the horrifying truth. According to him, Harris was never a victim at all. He is actually a member of Section 15, the infamous assassin organization feared around the world. The name Martin Harris was only a fake identity created for a mission. Even Liz was never really his wife. The two of them were simply agents assigned to work together. Harris himself was supposed to play the main role in the operation by attending the biotechnology conference. But the car accident ruined everything. His memory became unstable, so Section 15 activated a backup plan by replacing him with another agent, the man now posing as the fake Harris. And once the real Harris was considered compromised, he became a liability that needed to be eliminated. Moments later, Harris is attacked.
1 year of preparation. We did everything we could to make you come back.
But before the assassins can finish him off, Gina suddenly crashes her car straight into the group, sending several of them falling from the structure, while Harris barely survives. During the chaos, Harris's briefcase is thrown out of the vehicle. When it finally opens, it reveals something shocking. Hidden inside is a secret compartment filled with fake passports, large amounts of cash, and detailed documents about the identity of Martin Harris. The mission had actually been planned for over a year. During all that time, Harris had been living as Dr. Martin Harris. As he reads through the documents, his memories slowly begin returning piece by piece, and eventually the full truth comes back to him. 3 months earlier, Harris had secretly traveled to Berlin to plant a bomb inside the building where the conference would eventually take place, an event attended by world leaders, including the Prince of Dubai. Meanwhile, the biotechnology conference is already underway. Dr. Bressler arrives together with his 2 daughters. In the middle of the crowded event, Liz quietly places a transmitter onto Bressler's laptop. From the very beginning, the mission was never just about assassination. They also planned to steal Bressler's research data. The coded message Liz left inside Harris's notebook was actually the key needed to access those files. And once all the data is successfully copied, Liz activates the bomb. At the same time, Harris and Gina rush toward the hotel to stop the attack. But the moment they arrive, security immediately recognizes Harris's face and detains them both. Harris desperately tells the hotel staff to check the lobby security footage, hoping it will prove that he and Liz had previously entered the hotel to plant a bomb. At the same time, Liz has already activated the countdown. The moment the hotel manager realizes the danger, he immediately triggers the alarm and orders a full evacuation. Within seconds, the entire conference falls into chaos as people begin rushing out of the building in panic. Meanwhile, Liz and her partner are already preparing to leave, but the sound of the alarm stops them in their tracks. They instantly realize someone has interfered with the mission. At the same time, Harris's memories finally begin returning completely, and everything suddenly makes sense. From the very beginning, the real target was never the Prince of Dubai. The true target was Dr. Bressler. Because Bressler has already been evacuated, Liz's partner decides to hunt him down personally and finish the job directly. But Harris manages to stop him before he can kill the scientist. Meanwhile, Liz tries to deactivate the bomb, realizing there is no point letting it explode now that Bressler is gone. But in her panic, she presses the wrong button. The bomb detonates instantly, killing her in the explosion. During the blast, a piece of debris strikes Harris in the head, but strangely, the impact fully restores his memory at last. For the first time since the accident, Harris completely remembers who he truly is. And now that he finally understands everything, he wastes no time taking down Liz's partner once and for all. A few days later, Dr. Bressler's research is officially revealed to the public. He successfully developed a new type of corn seed capable of surviving extreme weather conditions. The discovery is revolutionary, and as a result, fertilizer company stocks begin crashing, causing massive financial losses worth millions of dollars. And that is the real reason Section 15 was hired to sabotage the biotechnology conference and assassinate Dr. Bressler. By the end of the film, Harris and Gina are seen together leaving for Canada, ready to leave the past behind and begin a completely new life. So the moral of the story is never leave your briefcase in a taxi, because you might lose your wife, your identity, your memory, and accidentally remember you're an international assassin.